Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, I've been asked initially to do for the motion, now against the motion. And in fact, however it comes out, I'll be okay. Now, this is a biased room. Most of us are Asian, so we think it's going to be an Asian century. We must be very careful. I think we have to keep the Asian triumphalism at bay. The Asian century dialogue is a century too late, a decade too late. A decade ago, we had books, Asian Renaissance, Asia Rising, Asian Century. But if you look at the decade thereafter, the current period, Asia is in some trouble. This is a misnamed conference. It's not so much that Asia is rising and the world is turbulent. More, perhaps, is that Asia is turbulent, the world will rise. Now, let me go over a few notions. Look, we have to first address, the world doesn't work in rotations. You don't take turns. Continents and oceans and nations don't take turns being at the top. You don't move this from the Mediterranean to the Atlantic, to the Pacific, to the South China Sea and East China Sea. I don't think the world works that way. You don't go from the Romans, Romana, Britannica, Americana to Seneca, Asia. So I think we have to keep that in mind, that the world may not work in rotation just like that. We have to first address, we've heard two exaggerated accounts and one very measured, impressive and lucid account. Economics we have to address. The Asian model was mentioned earlier. The Asian model is not so unique and special. Not so unique and special. You see China is slowing down. This whole export-led model is going to face some uphill tasks going forward. In the end, we're all in the same boat, all nation states of the world, in the same world economy. If you look at the trajectory of nations, most nations, especially once they become democratic, they incur more debt, so more indebtedness among nations, and we will see more welfare states among nations, and we will see similar problems that they have in Europe and America, we will see in Asia. So in fact, we're in the same boat. I also want to address, after economics, if you look at economics, trade, FTAs, Asia with outside the region, more than within the region. Within the region, a lot of noodled FTAs. So if you look at the international trade regime, not so promising for Asia. The RCEP is really the ASEAN's answer to TPP, but it doesn't look all that promising to me. You look at the financial system in Asia, still run by international financial system. There's no Asian Monetary Fund. AMRO is very weak. So the Asian economies are really still a function dependent on the global financial trade system. Now let me address, very important, the history of it. Asia has not had a cataclysmic exercise. We've not had the World War. The US, they had a civil war that was a cleansing. It united the country. Europe, they had 2 wars. In Asia, there's been no big war, no cleansing war, and therefore more difficult to integrate as a region. Diversity is the enemy of the Asian century. We've heard from my colleague that this is a region that is heterogeneous. It has many diverse groups, languages, religions, beliefs, ethnic makeup, identities, and so on. Very difficult to blend and distill into one. Even English, we don't speak in this region comprehensively, universally. ASEAN is going to be a community without English language, really functionally at the grassroots as a common language. We still don't speak the same language. Now, territory, geography, constrain the Asian century. If you look at geography and territory and terrain, we have basically, mountains, the plains, and the seas. Mountains, the plains, and the seas. So this country in Burma, they have half the country, mountains, and then the plains in central Burma, the Bama people. If you look at all of Asia, a lot of mountains, and you look at maritime countries, they're around the sea. So this is not really a kind of geographically conducive place to foster, cultivate, nurture Asia-focused century. Democracy is going to challenge the Asian century. Countries that are not democratic yet will have to be democratic. We will see more democratization. We heard from the opposing side that they want to, Asia is going to improve standards of living. No. North Korea is not improving its standard of living for its people. And North Korea, China, all the other countries that are not yet democratic like Japan or South Korea are going to face democratization pressure. This is going to be a very volatile region, not so much a pleasant, uniform Asia region. Technology. Now, if you look at the past centuries, we think, we have a bias for the present. We think this is a special time, this is a special place. But in fact, in the past, when they had the Roman Empire, the British Empire, the American Empire, technology was not so diffused, so Africa was out of it, Latin America was out of it. Now, if you look around, technology is very conducive for all peoples to get into the act. So in fact, one of the most impressive growing regions is Africa, Latin America, not just Asia. So the technology has empowered the grassroots from the bottom to the top, from people at their villages to nation states and governments. Demographics is a challenge for Asia. Apart from the export-led model being questionable, being perhaps not so sustainable, people are going to age. You see this in Japan, you see this in China. So the model is going to face some pressure. And then we have heard from my colleague that social safety nets, social security, there is no social security in Asia. When people get old, they're going to be in a lot of trouble. Families are breaking up, nucleus family, who's going to feed them, who's going to look for them, and they live longer. So in fact, in Asia, we really have to look at ourselves and start thinking about how to care for ourselves when we get older. So this, I wish that we were headed for an Asian century, but I don't think that is the case. If it is the case, I want to leave Asia and go live somewhere else. I think that this is a case where we need to have a global century for a rising world, all rising, which allows turbulence in Asia to be minimized. Thank you.